Hi everyone, here's a 40-minute yin yoga practice. It's quite wild and wet and windy outside today. There's a lot of energy in the surf building. So I thought I would do a practice that is very grounding. We focus on the earth element with the spleen and the stomach organs and their meridians. So if you have a towel that you can use, a bath towel, just to roll up for a few different things in the practice, that would be handy. And you don't need to practice on a mat. If you've got carpet that you would like to practice on, that is fine as well. It's a class for all levels of experience and abilities. And I hope that you enjoy it, and following the practice you feel well rested. Thank you. So just starting off by placing a rolled up towel along the length of your mat, and then sitting onto the mat, we're going to gently lie down so that the spine is supported along by the rolled up towel. And you can bring the soles of the feet together and let the knees go wide, or if this is uncomfortable for your hips, just having the feet grounded and the knees bent. Placing the hands onto the lower abdomen just below the navel. And we can gently bring our awareness and our breath to this place where the hands rest. Just being patient with the breath. Taking your time to gently encourage the breath to be just a little bit slower, a little bit deeper. There's no rush. And by allowing softness in the belly, there's a natural rise and fall of the lower navel with the breath. Observing the fingers gently rising and gently returning. And the awareness is rested in the earth center within your body. This is also known as the hara. This place within the physical body that connects us to the roots of the earth. You're welcome to keep your hands rested in this place, or if you would like to, you could just release the arms out to the sides for our last few moments here in this position. Just letting the wrists be soft, fingertips soft. The heart melts around the rolled towel, inviting the possibility of a gentle expansion and opening of the heart space. A slow, complete breath. And taking your time to gently ground the feet, bringing the knees up and then slowly releasing the rolled up towel out from underneath your spine and releasing the spine back down onto the ground. And here we can just keep the feet grounded and the knees bent and allow your spine to settle, to process. And just bring some gentle movement here as you exhale, letting your knees fall to the right side slowly. And then on the inhale, back up to the center. And on the exhale, through to the left. So just moving with the single breath. The inhale brings the knees up. And the exhale to the right, the head could turn the opposite direction. Inhaling to the center. And knees wash to the left side, option of the head turning to the right side. Inhaling back up to the center. And one more time with your breath to each side. It's a beautiful connection, a supportive relationship of the movement of the pelvis with the spine, and to keep that natural connection of the two moving together through twists. We'll meet at the center, and just taking your time to bring your knees into the chest here. Take the hands onto the top of the shins, relax your shoulders for the breath to the belly. Collarbones soft, face relaxed. And gently releasing the arms down by the side of the body. And releasing your feet down to the ground. The feet can just be slightly wide of the hips, knees bent. We'll roll the breath and the spine together, inhaling to lift your spine. The arms can reach over the head. And then exhaling slowly, lowering the spine and the arms down. We'll just do 2 more of those. Inhaling, wrists are soft, fingers soft. Lift the spine. And then exhale to gently place the spine back down and the hands back down by the side. One more time, let the inhale bring some buoyancy to the body. And as a whole body exhale and release back down to the ground. We'll just take the arm over the head here, just the single arm. And then just rolling over onto the side of your body. Just pausing there for a brief moment with the head supported so the neck is neutral. And then we're going to bring our towel with us so that it's within reach. So moving it up towards the top portion of your mat and rolling over onto the belly here. Just letting your legs go a little wide of the hips so there's a spaciousness through the lower back. You can let the forehead rest onto the back of the hands, onto the forearm. And we'll just come up into a gentle Sphinx pose. So we can come onto the forearms. You could bring the palms together if you like that variation. The legs stay relaxed and there's a beautiful balance through the upper body. So just being careful not to over-engage or over-prop internally, and at the same time being mindful that we don't start to slump. Just showing a variation here if your shoulders get fatigued or if you want to not lift so high. You could rest your forearms onto the rolled towel and have the elbows further forward of the shoulders, so the lift of the chest isn't so high in this variation. I'm just keeping the neck neutral. And of course, if at any time you find that we're in the pose for longer than you would like to be in it, just gently let your breath guide you back to a neutral position for you. Otherwise, we'll be here for about another 5 slow breaths. Just gently creating some opening through the abdominal region, and at the same time a little nourishment into the lower back, a little gentle nurturing and compression of the kidneys in the lower back. Mind is gently with the breath, smooth, supportive inhalation, and nurturing, supportive exhalation. If tensions start to creep into the pose, creep into the body in its habitual areas, with the awareness it may be enough to gently allow those tensions to release. And then slowly with an exhalation, we're going to release back down, letting the forehead rest to the back of the hands. Or if you prefer, the arms by the side, and you can turn your head to the natural side. We're inviting a beautiful earthy belly breath here, down through to the lower back, through to the lower abdomen. Take your time, hands gently by the shoulders or ribs. Ease your way slowly through to a child's pose position. The hands can rest under the forehead or by the side, or keeping some softness around the elbows and shoulders, you could naturally let them stay lengthened forward. You're welcome to stay in child's pose, or if you would like a little bit of movement here between the longer holds, come up to the hands and knees. And then with soft elbows, inhaling, opening the heart, letting the belly soften down. And an exhalation to gently round through the spine, drop the head. Inhaling, soft elbows, lift the heart, drop the belly. And exhale, we create space across the back of the body. Inhaling to open. And then exhale slowly to child's pose. With the inhale, we'll come back up to the hands and the knees. Here you could exhale back to child's pose again, or to downward facing dog. And then together inhaling to the hands and the knees. And exhale again to child's pose. Inhaling, we'll together all come up to the hands and the knees slowly. You can walk your knees a little wide of the hips if they're close, and then come up onto your high shins with the palms together. If you're feeling confident in your balance, we can close the eyes here. Settling the gaze to a still point, all the eyes closed. Just taking a few breaths here to center awareness within. When you're ready, stepping the left foot forward, a nice generous step forward. So we're in a fairly long lunge here. The hands can come to the hips as we slowly guide the pelvis forward. And then resting your fingertips down. If you need to, you could place them onto some books or some blocks if you have them. So it's a very slow entry here. Once you come to a point where you feel a little bit of resistance, just stay there, a fluid breath, and maybe invite just some very soft movement around that area. Could just be a little rock very slowly of the pelvis, or even just playing around with the pressure through the front foot, just transitioning gently in and out of the depth of the pressure through the front foot. And the breath is being invited to the lower areas of your belly. The diaphragm moves freely with the breath, which supports the release of our deep muscle through the front of the hip, this muscle being the psoas muscle. Very strong hip flexor that shares the same attachment point to your diaphragm. Softening the mouth. Very slowly start to guide the pelvis back. You might like to just have a little brief pause or release of that front leg. And then we'll just bring the front leg back to meet, so the knees meet. And slowly release into child's pose. I'm going to inhale up to the hands and the knees. You can walk the hands a little further forward and guide yourself down onto the belly, letting the forehead rest the back of the hands. Softening across the back of the heart space. Shoulder blades release. Just a few breaths here to neutralize, to allow the rebounding effect from the previous pose. And then when you're ready, we're going to slide the left knee up so that the knee is bent. And you can stay with the chest low, or you might like to take your forearms stacked onto the rolled towel as we did before for the variation of Sphinx, or come into the previous Sphinx pose, palms together, elbows ever so slightly forward of the shoulders. I like to take the straight leg a little wider here. It creates a greater feeling of space for me, but that can just be something that you may choose to explore, or you might like to keep your straight leg in line with the hip. Noticing where we have gentle compression and where we're inviting an element of space and length. All the while, there's a beautiful thread of breath, a constant thread of your breath throughout your whole practice. The inhale and the exhale, gently weaving through each of the different shapes. We're going to start by releasing the chest gently down first. Keep your knee as it is, keep it bent out to the side. And transition to a little spinal twist. Feed the right arm underneath so you're rolling onto the right shoulder. And then letting your right knee bend and slide up to meet your left knee. And we can peel the left arm open, opening the chest. And as always, your knees will just come to their natural place here. Feet and ankles relaxed. We're not looking at lining the knees or stacking the knees one on top of the other. Allowing yourself to be soft, gently releasing into the earth. And as you allow yourself to release to the earth, you're opening yourself up to receive the rebound of energy and nourishment that the earth provides. Nice slow, full breath. And then after that breath, taking your time to roll back towards the right side and then coming back over onto the belly to a neutral position. Letting the forehead be supported by the hands, or if you prefer, arms by the side and head turns to the side. Becoming a little more sensitive here to the internal shifts that take place once we release from the pose. And then we're slowly going to use the hands and the knees to support ourselves just gently back through a very brief little child's pose there. You can stay in child's pose or come up for that little spinal release, softening the belly, opening the heart. Inhale. And rounding through the spine, dropping the head, exhale. Inhale, lengthen the chest forward, and exhale, the hips gently release to the heels. Inhaling slowly to the hands and knees. Exhale to child's pose or downward dog. And then inhaling to come back onto the hands and knees. And one final exhale to child's pose. And then all together we'll slowly come back up onto the shins. We can bring the palms together again at the heart space. Soften the shoulders. If you're feeling steady, softening the gaze, closing the eyes. When you're ready, we can open the eyes if they're closed and step the right foot forward, hands to the pelvis, and just taking your time. It'll be a few breaths to come into this, hips gently coming forwards, then the heart starts to come forwards, and then when appropriate the hands can come down either side of the front foot, either to the ground or to blocks or books. Nourishing breath to the lower belly, accessing your full breath. And if you're meeting a lot of resistance, possibly just easing out so we're not at the complete end of the road where the gate is closed. We're just a little shy of that, so there's still some possibility of space. You may like to have that very gentle movement, just softly through the pelvis or transitioning weight in and out of the front foot. It's just very subtle, allowing energy to move, to release. And then taking your time, very slowly the pelvis eases back. We can have a little release by lengthening that front leg momentarily and then bringing the knee back in line with the back knee. And this time we'll just release down to the belly. It's coming into a moment of neutralizing to absorb, to release. And when we're working with the earth element through the organs of the stomach and spleen in this practice, we're really supporting the processes of rest and digest. Taking your time, the right knee slides out to the side, and then we can choose to prop the forearms onto the towel for a lesser lift of the chest, if you choose to lift at all. If you want to go a little deeper, adding another layer, we can come onto the forearms, palms lightly touching. If you're feeling any strong compression, any sharp sensations or burning sensations, that's not something we're looking at working with in the practice, so we can just gently guide ourselves back to one of the other options if that happens. settling in to the rhythmic supported breath. Just being careful that we don't collapse the chest and sink into the shoulders and lose the neck. Finding the balance here of a little lift and aliveness through the upper body so that we're receptive. As you exhale, gently lowering the chest down, keeping the knee bent out to the side. We'll transition to the spinal twist, so we feed the left arm through to come onto your left shoulder. Slide your bottom knee up so that it's bent, and then we can open the right arm for the spinal twist, opening the right side of the chest. Nourishing the right side of the lungs here with your breath. Softening the chest. Face relaxed. Forehead is soft. Taking your time to slowly bring the right arm back over, resting on the left side, and then gently rolling back over onto the belly one final time. And here we can invite the breath into the denser areas of the body, balancing the density of the pelvis and the lower back with the lightness and the fluidity of the breath. And then very slowly, with the support of the hands through your knees, gently guiding through just a little brief release in child's pose there. And then we'll make our way up to seated for our final pose before Shavasana. So bringing the soles of the feet together, letting your knees go wide, and we're not pulling our heels right up in towards the groins here. There's a generous space of the heels from the groins. Nice open butterfly. Resting your arms down and then starting by letting your forehead become heavy. As the forehead starts to release down, allowing the neck and shoulders to follow. And we're just gently entering this, dipping ourselves deeper in with patience, knowing that this entering may take 5 breaths or more. There's no rush. And the palms, if rested on the ground, can be face up with the fingers soft and relaxed, so we release any desire to pull with the muscles. We're simply here through breath, the weight of your bones and gravity. The exhalation supporting this process of release and deepening. And to find stability, we also need to accept that there will be periods in our life of instability and discomfort. So if we notice that there's a desire to come out of this pose, just see what is driving that desire. Explore it for a few breaths before you take action. And then if you decide that it is safe and beneficial to do so, just choose to stay for one more breath. And the process of releasing is just as slow, just as tender as entering. The palms can turn down and we can use the hands to very gently press into the ground, along the feet, ankles, calves, slowly coming up. Once your spine does come to the neutral position, and please don't rush to get there, at least one breath in neutral. And then when you're ready from here, we're going to slowly release down with the support of the hands to Shavasana. You may find that the knees need some support here underneath them, so you could place that rolled up towel underneath bent knees, and that can take any pressure and sensitivity away from the lower back. Let the arms be spacious from your body. We can release any control over the breath. As you release the control of the breath, continue to rest your awareness on the breath. The breath remains the anchor for your mind. If you would like to stay here longer, please do. Otherwise, very slowly starting to bring a little bit of movement back through your body. Take your time to bend the knees and ground your feet. You can rest the hands back to the lower belly if you like. If you would prefer to, bring your knees into the chest and hug the knees, please do. Keeping the neck and shoulders relaxed. And very slowly rolling to the side of the body. Let your head be supported by the arm or something along those lines, so the neck is neutral. And then taking your time to very gently come up to a comfortable seat. You can bring the palms together at the heart space in Anjali Mudra. Pausing here for a moment, maintaining this beautiful internal awareness and connection. And with gratitude for the practice, honouring the light in each other and all beings. Namaste. Thank you very much for joining me.